What up YouTube, I'm back. So my first review for Black Clover in almost over a year because it was a lot of filler the last few months, but I'm back now for the new arc that is actually canon, the Spade Kingdom arc or something like that, so I'm gonna do the whole arc. I'm glad to be back because Black Clover was one of my favorite animes when it came out, and now it seems like it's gonna be really good for a really long time, but the first thing that I'm gonna do in this week's review is talk about the new opening, because the new opening is awesome. It's great. It's probably my favorite opening right now just because of all the new things that we've been seeing in the opening, the character design and everything like that. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the way that we saw Asta the first time in the opening, just coming out of that huge door with the red background, and he looks buff as hell. I'm gonna talk about their character design later in the review, but he looks really good, man, and the way that he just comes out of that door, is quite cool because it kind of represents in a way his demon power and everything, so I thought all of that was pretty cool. We also got to see a lot more of him later in the opening, and it seems like he can actually fly now. That's a reference to Star Wars, but it seems like he can actually fly, not on a broom, but on his sword, which is interesting. I'm wondering how he does that, So hopefully we'll get some more information about his new powers and how it works, because it's pretty cool that he can actually fly by himself and not by, basically being helped by Noelle. In that shot right there, we see Noelle, we see Mimosa, and we see the Queen of the Heart Kingdom. We also see the girl that was in the elf arc. I forgot her name, but I think her name is Sacre or something like that. But yeah, man, they have new design too, so we'll talk about that later in the episode. There's another shot with Leopold, Locke, and Charmy. She's a little big, compared to what she was, but it's kind of funny to see her like that. But yeah, like I said, there's new character design that we're going to talk a lot about later in the review because of the episode and everything like that. After that, we saw the villains from this new arc, the Spade Kingdom arc. I really like their character design. They're probably my favorite villain design in the Black Clover series so far, maybe except for the elves, even though they weren't really villains, but they were in a way, but so far the Spade Kingdom villains are my favorite character design for a villain in the Black Clover series, so that's pretty cool. We also got to see that shot right there of a demon, it seems like, and we all know that the main villain of the story of this arc has a demon inside of him. We learned that before all these fillers, so that's pretty cool. We also got to see Noelle. It seems like she has a mermaid form or something like that, which is pretty cool. It seems like her powers has developed a lot in these fillers, so that's pretty cool. And then we also got to see Yami. I don't know who's behind him. Maybe it's the villain, the one with the demon. I'm not really sure, but it seems like Yami is going to be a big part of this arc. I'm not sure how many characters are going to be a big part of this arc, but I know it's kind of a war, so it's probably going to be a lot of characters in this arc, which I'm excited about. I'm wondering how much stronger Yami has gotten since, the fillers, because he was already really, really strong, but I really don't know how strong he is right now. There was also that shot right there of that guy. I don't know who that is, but I just wanted to say that because it seems like maybe he's gonna be important. And then there was that shot that was pretty awesome. We know how buff Yami is, and compared to Asta, he's a lot more buffer. He has a lot more muscles, but it just shows how much Asta has developed. And then there was that shot right there of Asta. I think it's Asta, and his demon form, maybe his new demon form, which look even even more evil, so I'm not sure, man, but I really like the new opening. The song was really good, the visuals were really good, and the visuals are always really good in the Black Clover's opening, so but I really like the song and the opening, so it's probably my favorite opening of this series. And then there was that shot right there. I'm not really sure who that is. It was blurred, so maybe it's someone that we already know, maybe it's someone that we're gonna meet, and then we're gonna know who that is. I don't know, but I thought it was a pretty interesting shot. Anyway, I talked about the most interesting thing in my opinion in the new opening. Now we're gonna talk about what happened in the episode and the new character design, So first we're gonna talk about Noelle, because her new character design is pretty cool, It's especially her hair, she has a new haircut, which I think is a lot cooler than it was before. I really like her, and I've always said that Noelle is one of my favorite characters in the show, so I really like that she has a new character design. She looks a lot more grown than she was before, I think it's been 6 months in the anime, so it's been 6 months for training, and obviously they're kids, so they're growing up, they're teenagers, so they're growing up, so I really like her character design a lot. She looks a lot womanly, maybe it's only her haircut and maybe her body a little bit more developed, but I really like her character design a lot. I'm not sure if it's new outfits that she has, but the thing that I know is that their cloak, their Black Bull cloak, it seems like maybe it's a little bit different. I'm not really sure, but right, yeah, man, I really like her new character design a lot. We also saw Leo and Luck. Luck looks the exact same, and then we saw Leo. He looks different, his haircut is different, he looks a little bit taller, and his cloak is a little bit different, It seems like they have color on the string that attach their cloak that is different than it was before for the Black Bulls, for Leo and everything, so it's pretty cool to see that. But yeah, man, that's some of the character design that I thought that were pretty cool that we've seen so far. Obviously I'm going to talk about Mimosa a little bit later, but one of the things that I really want to talk about to start this review is the queen, because we all know that she's been cursed by one of the demons of the Spade Kingdom. So obviously one of the goals is to save her, and then the other goal is to defeat the Spade Kingdom, because they've been taking over the Diamond Kingdom, and then now they're trying to attack the Clover Kingdom and the Heart Kingdom, so there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things that happened in the last 6 months with the Spade Kingdom, so it's gonna be imperative that they defeat them, because they have already invaded and destroyed the Diamond Kingdom, and now they're going for the Clover and Heart Kingdom. So it's gonna be interesting to see what's happening with that. We were actually introduced to a magic fortress named Candelo. It was from the Spade Kingdom, and they were using the people of the Spade Kingdom as a source of energy by using their mana, and it was actually killing some of them, because you can't live without mana, and some of them were actually killed. And then there was that Spade Kingdom soldier that was actually going to rape one of the women there, which was something that I don't think we have seen in the Black Clover series so far. That's something that we see in TV shows, so that I was surprised that something like that was actually talked about in this week's episode. But then we saw Asta arrive at the scene. We didn't see him at the scene where the queen was talking to Noelle, Mimosa, and all the others, but they saw him just leave, so that's the first time actually that we got to see Asta when he arrived at the magic fortress to basically defeat all the Spade Kingdom soldiers. But man, his new character design is just amazing. He's a lot more buffer than he was before, and before he was buff, but now he's even more bigger than he was. Not taller, but bigger. It seems like he has a new headband, he has a new tattoo on his body, which seems like a cloak, but it's actually a tattoo, I think. And then obviously he has his cloak, but it looks amazing, man. His character design is just pretty awesome, and we kind of saw a little bit of his power in the fights that we saw in the Magic Fortress. We saw how he can call his sword and just they come out of his grimoire, you know, which is amazing because he wasn't doing that before. He just calls them and then he can attack, you know, so that's pretty awesome. Obviously he destroyed all of the, you know, Spade Kingdom soldiers pretty easily by himself, which wasn't surprising because it's been 6 months of training, and like we saw, he looks a lot bigger than he used to be, and it seems like he has more control of his demon dweller swords, you know, his demon anti-demon magic sword, you know, so it's pretty cool to see. Asta fought the villain of the Magic Fortress and he could use poison creation magic, and it also seemed like he had a little bit of the demon power inside of him, so it seems like the villain of the Spade Kingdom arc can actually pass on a little bit of his power to other people, which is interesting. And Asta actually sensed it, you know, and he was poisoned by that guy, and then he just used, I think, his demon dweller sword to just absorb the poison magic inside the sword without touching it, you know, which we've already seen a little bit of that power before in the elf arc, but now we are seeing the whole power of it, you know, and it was kind of cool because then Asta kind of said, you have a little bit of that power inside of you, but I have a lot more, you know, which was really cool scene. He destroyed that dude, and then we saw that the shadow of the demon that is inside of him, I think, which is pretty damn awesome, and it was really cool. The animation and art, by the way, was amazing in that episode. Hopefully it will be like that for the rest of the arc, but yeah, man, it was just an amazing scene with Asta. It was an amazing sequence where he just destroyed everybody. We haven't seen anything new so far, I think, but I can't wait to see where Asta really is power wise, you know, because the queen said that Asta is in the arcane stage, so that's the most powerful stage that you can be, I think. So I really want to see what the new things that he can do. I don't think Asta did anything new when he attacked the fortress, except for arriving while flying on his sword and then calling up his sword to use it, you know, which was pretty cool to see. But after that, I don't think we've seen anything new, so I can't wait to see what he can do next, you know. But anyway, we haven't talked a lot about Mimosa, but she also has a little bit of a new character design. She has a new things to attach her hair, I think, but that's the only thing. But she also got stronger in these 6 months, you know, so she used her magic to basically give stamina back to the people that was using their mana to move the fortress, you know, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, man, she also got stronger, and Mimosa is also one of my favorite characters in the show, so I can't wait to see what she can do next. It also seems like Finral also has a fiance, which is pretty cool. I don't know if he was actually engaged the last time that we saw him, you know, before the filler, but it seems like he has a fiance, so that's pretty cool to see, you know. And it's the same woman that he was in love with and then was going to marry his little brother, you know, so that's pretty cool too. Anyway, while Asta, Noel, Mimosa, and Finwell were at the fortress, the queen sent Luck and Leo to some Spade Kingdom bases, you know, so that they could, you know, kind of take over some bases to, you know, win the war, you know, because it's a war. So they did that. We kind of saw Luck going ham, you know, a little bit against grade 1 or 2 mages. We saw Leo, you know, obviously he has a new character design. He looks pretty cool, and it seems like I said, he's taller than Asta now, you know, so everybody has grown up height wise except maybe Asta, which is interesting. I think maybe it's because of his demon power, I'm not sure, but yeah, man, it was pretty cool to see them in action for the first time in months, for me at least. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It's sound as a strategy because they need to make up some ground because of what the Spade Kingdom has done in the last 6 months, you know, so it was a pretty good strategy to take some of the Spade Kingdom bases. Now let's talk about the villain of this arc, because we were introduced to them at the end of this week's episode. They're called the Dark Triad and the Dark Disciples, so that's an interesting name. I really like the name of their group, and one of them, the one that we're seeing right now, his name is Xenon, and he's actually the one that invaded the Diamond Kingdom and destroyed it by himself, so that's pretty impressive. And it seems like he only used 40% of his power while doing it, and like I've said earlier in the review, it seems like the main villain of the story can give some of his demon power to his subordinates, and it seems like Xenon has some of that power, but a lot more than the other guy that Asta destroyed, so that was pretty impressive that he destroyed the Diamond Kingdom by himself, and it seems like he used the demon power to do it. Then we were introduced to Vanica, and it seems like she's a little bit weaker than Xenon, because it seems like she said that she can only use 40% of his power, so she's a little bit weaker than him, so that's quite interesting. That's how I thought I interpreted it, so we'll have to see. But I really like her character design. I really like all of the character design from the villain so far, so that's pretty cool. Then we were introduced to King Dante. I'm saying King Dante because it seems like he had a crown on his head, but it seems like he's the one with all of the demon power, so it seems like he's the one that is giving some of his power to his subordinates, which is interesting. And some of the things that he was talking about, like the keys for a door, and it seems like the keys for that door is 2 Arcane States mages, which is interesting because Asta is an Arcane States mage right now, and then is probably one too, so that's going to be interesting to see. I think that they're talking about these two probably, I'm not really sure, but we'll have to see. Then at the end of the episode, we saw that dude right there collapse where the church where Yuno and Asta grew up, and he said something about Yuno-sama, Lord Yuno-sama, so maybe he's from another kingdom where Yuno is actually from, because we don't really know where Yuno and Asta are from, or maybe he's just a spy that went to the Spade Kingdom and now he needs to talk to Yuno because he's one of the higher ups right now. I'm not really sure, but it's going to be interesting to see what's going on with that. But yeah, man, it was a great episode of Black Clover. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to review it once again, and I can't wait to see what's coming next for this arc, so let me know what you thought about this week's episode in the comments down below. Let me know what you think is gonna happen next. It was a long ass review, but I do Black Clover reviews every Tuesdays now, so stay tuned for that. But I also do other anime related things like Jujutsu Kaisen reviews on Fridays, and there's a new arc coming for Jujutsu Kaisen, so stay tuned for that. It's gonna be really fun. I also do One Piece reviews usually on Saturdays, but I'm behind right now, so hopefully I will be back on track soon. I also do Boruto Naruto Next Generation reviews on Sundays, and there's a new arc coming, adaptation from the manga, so it's gonna be awesome. I just can't wait for that because I've been waiting for that for a long time. So like I said, I do Boruto Naruto Next Generation reviews on Sundays, and then there's a Attack on Titan reviews on Sundays too, and the next episode's coming up is going to be awesome, one of the best episodes of Attack on Titan. So stay tuned for all of that, man, because it's going to be an awesome year for anime, because in a few days there's The Promised Neverland coming back on the 7th, and then Dr. Stone coming back on the 14th, and then in March I think there's Boku no Hero Academia coming back too, so it's a big year for anime. It's a big year for my channel. Stay tuned for all of that because it's gonna be awesome, man. I'm gonna cover it all. Follow me at Anime Specialist on Twitter and Instagram, and like, comment, subscribe. It would help my channel a lot, man. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Anime Specialist out. Peace.